And what's your message to? Have you seen Donald Trump? Do you think he should step in?
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
What's good? Welcome in. Thanks for the stop. Appreciate it as always. A couple topics here for you. We're going to start off with some Brics news, right? Brics being basically an economic-based group of countries. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, right, are the founding members and the current members. But recently one of their top officials at a meeting in Johannesburg, South Africa, went on record to say that over 40 countries have or are in the process of applying to join, including such places as Argentina, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Right, and apparently these have already applied to join. He says another group of over 20 have taken the first steps to do so. Brics controls a lot. They boast numbers of like 40% of the world's population and a quarter of the total world GDP. The guy went on to say that it's not anything to be a direct competition with the G7 countries, but that emerging countries haven't been given the voice they deserve, and basically they're going to remedy that. We know that next month they're going to be rolling out their tangible goods-backed currencies, precious metals, and other commodities. And we also know that the American dollar has been overinflated. It's based off of nothing but ones and zeros, and the ability of our military to set countries ablaze. So where does it go from here, right?
So in 2013, it was legalized in the United States to propagandize its citizens. What? Like, that's some scary third world stuff going on. That's the kind of stuff that people use to topple governments, to take away freedoms.
Yes, you heard that right. Almost a decade ago, propaganda was legalized in the United States with the passage of the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which you've probably never heard of. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was buried in the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act for a good reason, because it repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which authorized the State Department and the mainstream media to engage in propagandizing foreign countries, but it prohibited releasing that same propaganda in America for public consumption. This prohibition was lifted when the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was signed into law by Obama.
Very simply, Obama gave it a reboot in 2012. So, no matter how outrageous the propaganda may be, it's completely legal.
Propaganda, in other words, a false narrative, for whatever specific purpose, is now much, much easier to perpetrate on the people.
Due to the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which went into effect on July the 2nd of 2013, scripted and orchestrated propaganda can now be presented to the American public as factual news.
So you always hear leftists, melting down democracy, and Donald Trump's threats to democracy. But yet, whenever they're in power, they do and say the most undemocratic things. The clip you just saw there, was breaking down how Big Obama's made it legal for the American media to be used as a propaganda arm of the government, which is, was illegal throughout our history. And the MSM, being an arm of the Democratic Party, sure as hell is not going to disappoint with, their, I guess, version of protecting democracy, right? So MSM rolling out, in an attempt to limit criticism and speech while protecting their overlords, are now promoting an anti-racism fucking language guidelines set, right? Which, includes that claiming using the term wealthy elites while speaking of connected, wealthy, or politicians, perchance, right? It's anti-Semitism. But if you point out that a large percentage of the elites are Jewish, That's also anti-Semitism, right? And these are the same people that, again, not only constantly scream democracy, but, they're always melting down about white rage, white supremacies, white flight, white fucking, you know what I mean? White privilege. Everything's always pointed at the white guy, but everything's always racisms. It's complete fucking shit. It's always the people that scream the most about free speech and democracy that are trying to censor you and doing the most undemocratic things, right? And sticking with that same note here, I'm sure quite a few of you know that the old YouTube here has changed their terms slightly to be less censorious, mainly with political speech, and especially pertaining to the 2020 election cycle, where if you spoke about it or, you talked about it in basically the slightest ways, your fucking channel was suspended and you got permanent strikes, right? But, Democrats think that, loosening any kind of restrictions on speech is a horrible, horrible thing. With YouTube, themselves stating that the free exchange of ideas, opinions, and basically, dissent is the cornerstone to democratic society. Which, we don't live in a democracy for the millionth time, but they're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. The cornerstone to a free society is speech, hence the reason in our own country, the First Amendment, right, is to cover speech. But, of course, in come the Democrats, right? Democracy implied in the name of their party to say that this is harmful decisions. And this is coming from the department or a committee of Energy and Commerce, right? What the fuck does that got to do with fucking political speech on YouTube, right? But, they've come out and said that this is an attack on American democracies, right? Again, the people that scream that word the most are the most anti-democratic fucks there are, right? And the point of YouTube saying that free speech is the cornerstone to a democratic society, and these people saying that they emphatically disagree with that, and that it is actually an attack on American, distinctly American democracy, lets you know that not only do they know we sure as hell don't live in one, but the fantastical idea of one that they have in their head is actually fucking leftist tyranny and fucking censorship and quashing dissent any way possible. Okay, and they are demanding that the censorship wheels be placed back on, as if Alphabet, one of the largest corporations on the planet, should give two shits what these fucking mindless, drone, useless idiots fucks have to say, right? But they're demanding that this shit be put back on, of course, because it's an election cycle, and God forbid that you get to talk about what's going on around you, what's going to affect your country and you, your children, directly. All right? Anti-democratic as fuck. You guys tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Come on by to argue or just say fuck off. Smell you later.
I was going to put him...
Idiots.